Welcome, everybody. Welcome to this week's training on increasing your capacity to receive with the art of allowing. Now, this module is in two parts. This first part, we're talking about the art of allowing, and I'll be introducing you to the universal laws and how we can work with them, making sure that we are in flow with them, and how to get ourselves in flow with them if we recognize that we have popped out of flow. And then in module 2B, I'll be introducing you to some examples of resistance and how they might be showing up for you in your life as we begin to think about how we can release resistance in our actions and create the space of allowing and receiving. So the exercises in the training are set out for you at the end of the workbooks so that you can take some time to dive deep on the exercises after reflecting on the content of the training. I'll talk you through the exercises at the end so you can come back to this and have me guide you through them, or you may just prefer to use the instructions within the workbook to guide you. I know everybody's different, so you have both options here available to support you. Now, I recommend taking an exercise a day to complete before you're doing your daily intention activations. So to do the exercise and the daily intention activations. All that said, you may prefer to create a mini home retreat for yourself one afternoon or one morning. Create the space by starting with a grounding meditation and then just simply working your way through all the exercises. That said, if you go for that option, please do your intention activations each day anyway. So let's dive in. There are over 88 universal laws, and I'm going to introduce you to the key ones here that I use for manifesting aligned success and living at my highest potential so that you understand where you've been working with or against them in your life. And there is a specific exercise on this in this book. So the first up is the law of divine oneness. This is simply about everything being connected to everything else. So what we say, think, do, believe has a corresponding effect on others and the universe around us. And as you gain a fuller understanding of the laws, you'll see how they are all related and interconnected and govern the world that we're in. As you know, because you're here, everything consists of and exists as energy. Your subatomical particles aren't fixed. In fact, everything's flowing in and out of you right from now, from this page, from the sky above your head, the floor, from your best friend and your worst enemy. In other words, there is no separation. So this is a really good question to ask yourself now that you know that you're not separate from anything, from life, your friends, your colleagues, and every being that has ever existed. Would you behave differently towards them? And who springs to mind when I share that question with you? When I think of the law of divine oneness, I think of Namaste. The light within me honors the light within you. Namaste. And the law of vibration. Now, most people have heard of the law of vibration or the law of attraction for sure. I want to dive into the law of vibration. So everything in the universe moves, vibrates, and travels in circular patterns. So the same principles of vibration in the physical world actually apply to our thoughts, to our feelings, to our desires and wills in the etheric world. So each sound, thing, and even thought has its own vibrational frequency, which is completely unique to itself. So the law of vibration states that anything that exists in our universe, whether seen or unseen, is broken down into its purest and most basic form. So it consists of pure energy or light, which resonates and exists as a vibratory frequency or pattern. So all thoughts and feelings have their own vibrational frequency, as do our actions that we choose. They also have their own particular rates of vibrations, and these vibrations set up resonance with whatever possesses an identical frequency. So this is where like attracts like. So as you choose good thoughts, more good thoughts of a like nature will follow, and you'll also be in vibrational harmony with others with those like thoughts. That's why we feel so good when we're with like-minded people. So for us, thought is where it all begins, and as your conscious mind dwells habitually on thoughts of a certain quality, these become firmly embedded within the subconscious mind. So they become the dominant vibration, and this dominant vibration sets up resonance with other similar vibrations and then draws them to you in your life. So it's easier to understand if you consider that from the metaphysical view, the whole universe is mind, and in turn your vibration affects everything around you, your environment, the people, your pets, all the animals around you, even the inanimate objects, even the seemingly empty space, and they in turn affect you. You've probably heard of me talk about mirrors and magnets. So your feeling at the present moment dictates your vibration. It is said that feeling is a word to define conscious awareness of vibration. So really pay attention to your feelings. Your feeling at the moment is your vibration, which sets up things of a like nature. So positive feelings equals positive circumstance in its simplest form, and negative feelings equals negative circumstances that you're going to magnetize back to you. So that's introduced you to the law of vibration. Let's dive into the law of action. Of course, you've heard me talk about aligned action. Taking aligned action is absolutely key. We need to take action to manifest things on earth, and it needs to be aligned for it to be supportive in terms of what our intention is that we want to manifest. So the law of action states that you must do the things and perform the actions necessary to achieve what you are setting out to do. So unless you're taking actions that are in harmony with your thoughts and dreams, and you're moving towards them in a orderly fashion, then you will attract and manifest what you want to attract. And that's why I talk about taking aligned action. So it's with the law of attraction, the law of action, that most people come a cropper, because people aren't taking action towards their intended success, and it's always down to fear, masked as something that has created the resistance. So you can also relate this law to that of the law of cause and effect. So as I said, they're all interrelated, and you'll start to see that as I'm introducing you to these. So the cause is your action, and as you take the action, there will be a corresponding effect, that of which you may know, or only the universe will know the effect, but there will be an effect. So only by taking actions which correspond with our desires will the universe know what to bring into your life. And if you wish to be learned, for example, then you take action steps to learn. You read books, you study, and then the universe knows, Louisa's wanting to be learned, she's reading books, I'm going to bring her those opportunities to her because she's taking the aligned action. So when you take action, from the smallest thing, from writing a to-do list, that's setting your intentions for the day in the morning, you're setting in motion corresponding effects that change your immediate future. And if you follow up day after day, it just becomes a habit, a way of living, and the results are exponential. But of course, if you fail to take that first action, then there won't be much in your future for the results, because what have you set in motion after setting the intention and then not taking that action? And how does that make you feel? So it's a cause and effect. So the next one I wanted to introduce you to is the law of correspondence. Now, this universal law states that the principles or laws of physics that explain the physical world, energy, light, vibration, and motion, have their corresponding principles in the etheric world or in the universe. So as above, so below. So your outer life is a reflection of your inner life. And this is where I'm referring to mirrors. So there's a direct correspondence between the way you think and feel on the inside and the way that you act and experience on the outside. So your relationships, your health, your wealth and position are mirror images of your inner world, which I find so exciting, because then you can exactly pinpoint what you need to change to be able to manifest what you want to start seeing in your outer world. It's always the inner work first that comes before the outer manifestation. Then we have the law of cause and effect. Nothing happens by chance or outside the universal laws. Every action, including thought, has a reaction, a consequence. You'll probably know the saying, we reap what we sow. So with every thought of intention, action, and emotion that's transmitted from you, a person sets into motion an unseen chain of events and effects which vibrate from the mental plane through the entire cellular structure of the body, out into the environment, and finally out into the cosmos, into the universe. And eventually the vibratory energy returns to the original source upon the the swing of the pendulum. It's coming back to that person. The law of cause and effect states that every cause has an effect, and every effect becomes the cause of something else. So this law suggests that the universe is always in motion and progresses from a chain of events. So if you want to look at this law from a philosophical point of view, what you see around you today is a manifestation of every cause and effect. So an example of this law and effect is whenever food, rest, work, sexual activities, and use of thought force are overindulged or improperly used, we see the related organs are adversely affected. Then we have the law of compensation. So this universal law is the law of cause and effect applied to blessings and abundance that are provided for us. So the visible effects of our deeds are given to us in gifts, money, inheritances, friendships, and blessings. So we want to be, of course, in flow with all the universal laws so that we can increase our capacity to receive what is coming to us through the law of compensation. And then, of course, we have the famous law of attraction, which talks about how we create the things and events and people that come into our lives. Our thoughts, our feelings, our words and actions are all producing energies, which in turn attracts like energies. So negative energies attracting negative energies, positive energies attracting positive energies. And I'm going to dive deeper into this later on. And then we have the law of momentum. So all persons have within them the power to change the conditions of their lives. So higher vibrations consume and transform lower ones. So this means each of us can change the energies in our lives by understanding the universal laws and applying the principles in such a way to affect change, which is so exciting. And the energy of the universe is always moving and transmuting in and out of form. Energy is always in a state of motion. So it will take one form and then move to another form, but it's always in motion and never standing still. So this law relates to the universe and our consciousness through the realization that everything seen and unseen is constantly changing. And we can harness this energy and transform it into whatever form we desire. We should then realize that the energy that is with us at the moment can be focused towards good, and the things around us and within us will change for the better. And the energy is flowing into our consciousness constantly, and we transform this energy into whatever we choose through our focus of attention at that moment. And our attention becomes our intention. You'll hear me talk about intention a lot. So everything is always changing. Resisting change is resisting growing, and those people go backwards and prevent learning and continual improvement and growth with the universe. So what happens there is resisting change just creates more resistant energy. Okay, let me introduce you to the law of relativity. So each person will receive a series of problems for the purpose of strengthening the light within. And this law also teaches us to compare our problems to other people's problems. And it really does put it into proper perspective, because no matter how bad our perceived situation is, there's always someone who's in a worse position. It is all relative. So the spiritual and metaphysical aspects of this law of relativity tell us that everything in our physical world is only made real by its relationship or comparison to something. So light only exists because we compare it to dark. Good can only exist because we compare it to the bad. Hot exists because we compare it to cold, and so on. So everything in our life just is until we compare it to something. So nothing in life has any meaning except for the meaning that we choose to attach to it. So it's all how you look at your situation and what thoughts and perspectives you choose to think about the situation with. So when you're focusing on good thoughts and energies, more good things will come to you. Likewise, if you focus on how bad your situation is, you just attract more of the same. Now I'd like to introduce you to the law of polarity. Now this is looking at it from this law is thinking about everything is on a continuum and has an opposite. So we transform undesirable thoughts by concentrating on the opposite pole. So it's the law of mental vibration. So we can see that you cannot have a left without a right, an up without a down, failure and success, a good without a bad. It's the duality. However, these opposites have no absolute. So there's not one point where you can say one starts and the other begins. It's on a scale range. So if you think of it like a scale, and there's two poles or opposites, and the difference between the two extremes of one thing is called polarity. So there are degrees of difference, of course, between the extreme poles, no absolutes. And this law states that, in fact, these opposites are simply different manifestations of the same thing. So there's not one point where you can say that cold stops and heat begins. It's all on the same pole. And the principle of polarity makes possible the choices that we make on the scale of life between, right and wrong, generosity and greed, love and fear, truth and lies. And Napoleon Hill, the author of the classic Think and Grow Rich book, which you have a copy available to you in the book section of the membership site, wrote, "Every adversity, every failure, and every heartache carries with it the seed of an equivalent or greater benefit." Just breathe that in. So it's time to claim that greater benefit, and an understanding of the principle will enable you to change your own polarity as well as that of others. So if you'll devote the time and set the intention to master the art, and you'll have started to see the connection between all these different universal laws. So the law of cause and effect, of course, is closely connected to polarity and holds us true to the choices that we make and the actions that we take by returning us to what we have measured out to in others. So that's linking us back to what, in we reap what we sow. Okay, let's dive into the law of rhythm. This is around everything vibrating and moving to certain rhythms. These rhythms, we see it all the time, establish seasons, cycles, stages of our development through our human life, patterns, and each cycle reflects the regularity of the universe. So the law of rhythm states that the energy in the universe is like a pendulum. So whenever something swings to the right, it must swing to the left. And everything in existence is involved in a dance, swaying, flowing, swinging back and forth. So everything's either growing or dying. And this law can be seen in the cycles of economies. There's a high period and then a low period. And our seasons, of course, you can see that they're in continuous flow all the time, from summer to winter. So everything's going through cycles. We want to be in alignment with these cycles and these patterns. It's actually very ordered, not random. And the law of rhythm also governs our own economy, health, relationships, and spirituality. So let's say you're at peak potential with your health and fitness. If you realize you're at the peak and then you can foresee your health and fitness dropping some, however, instead of viewing this drop in health as something being wrong with you, you can now view it as a sign to rest your body. So listening to your body and saying, actually, I've been taking action and now it's time for me to rest and follow that pattern. And then by law, you have to grow to a better and higher state of potential. So then we have the law of gender, and the law of gender manifests in all things as masculine and feminine. It's the balance. It is this law that governs what we know as creation, and the law of gender manifests in the animal kingdom as sex. So this law decrees that everything in nature is both male and female, and both are required for life to exist. Then we have the law of intention. As you've heard me talk about, energy follows intention, and our energy must be aligned through our thoughts, emotions, and actions with our intentions to achieve the growth or receive the manifested result. So if we intend to have a certain result and then we hold back from taking the aligned action because of fear or anxiety or laziness, this creates a vibration of bad intent. So then what are you manifesting back to you with that vibration and frequency? Okay, so then we have the law of time. So the only moment we have is now. What we have done in the past and when cycles are completed is recorded as an energy trace in time and space. And the consequences of past misaligned actions are atoned through karma. That's very common wording in our language, and are then rewritten. I'll talk about karma in a second. So our future is based on our thoughts and emotions and actions of the now. So that's why we only have, the only moment we have is now. So law of karma, let's cover that. Every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause, of course. And by understanding the universal laws, we can learn to lead with grace instead of building up karma. So in every thought, action, and deed that we've set in motion, a series of unseen chains of causation and effect, which vibrate on the mental plane throughout the entire cellular structure of our body, right out into the environment, into the universe. This energy we send out returns to the creator, to us, like the swing of a pendulum or a boomerang. So this is, you often hear people say, oh, it's karma, because they did that, this then happened. Now, when we are manifesting, we really want to build our faith and work with the law of faith. We are all part of the universe. Each of us holds a pool of collective universal knowledge within our subconscious. This is universal knowledge resulting in intuitions, visions, deja vus. And as we build our faith within our intuition and the collective body of the universal knowledge, what we're doing is we're bringing ourselves more in flow with the law of faith. So we will be working on developing our faith in our intuition and the work and co-creating with the universe so that we can manifest faster. So then we have the law of abundance, and the law, it's also known as the law of success. So this relates to all that we have in our inner worlds and our outer worlds, including social, emotional, and spiritual levels. So working with the law of abundance or success manifests our intentions into reality, whether we intended it well for ourselves or not. Which leads us on to the law of expectation. Now, you've heard me talk about this lots and lots, and is that the energy follows our thoughts and our expectations. Only by changing our expectations can we change our outcomes. So we need to expect success to be able to become magnetic to that. Which leads me on to talk about the law of grace. We've touched on karma and our intention. The law of grace allows those with pure intent to allow dispensation from any negative consequences of karma, and also ensures that it's not interfering with another. So you can invoke the law of grace by simply intending it to be so and requesting under the law of grace. Then we have the law of magnetic control. Every thought we have creates a match that comes back to us like a boomerang. So this law dictates that our thoughts are charged with energy and that every thought has the potential to grow, which links in with the law of momentum and building that energy up around it. That's why we're releasing energetic forms that are, some of them are small, some of them are big, depending on the amount of momentum that has been created around the energy of it, of that thought. Then we have the law of magnetism. This speaks of our unification of our personality, our self-alignment. By coming into self-alignment, we're unifying the energies associated with magnetic attraction. And then we have the law of manifestation. Our thoughts become things. Of course they do. There are actions and sounds and techniques and mental energy and symbols that we can use that are going to help us to manifest energy into our human Wi-Fi. So there's many tools that we can use to support what we're manifesting through the law of manifestation. Then we have the law of non-attachment. So our self does not exist as a separate entity. We are one. And when we are attached to the self, this actually creates karma. Whereas when we're in a space of non-attachment to the self, this releases karma. So just breathe that in for a moment. Then we have the law of radiation. So this governs the outer effect produced by our thoughts, emotions, vibrational and frequencies. And our conscious atoms can move through a sphere of energized influence into another sphere of higher vibration and then out into the wider consciousness. So just think of yourself when you're doing your step 5 with your arms up in the air around the law of radiation. And then we have the law of sound. The release of energy in the atom is linked to the science of sound. Everything has a sound. And healing with sound restores our harmonic patterns. And we can see this with sound baths, chanting, tuning forks, music, and mantras. And I will share this one with you. The most powerful mantra, as recognized by the Dalai Lama, is Om Mani Padme Hum. And these 6 sounds are purifying the 6 realms of existence. And you'll notice that I include them as guided by my guides in various meditations and activations that I do. Anyway, so the key thing to remember is the link between all of these laws. So let's talk more about the law of vibration, as this is the driving force behind everything that we do, and why getting our energy into alignment is the most important thing that you can do. Because when you discover how to achieve vibrational harmony with your soul and with your desire, then you're in the vibrational state of allowing the things that you want. And this is the art of allowing. And it's not a difficult thing to do once you understand the way your guidance system works, and the law of attraction is always working and always consistent. So your guidance system to your art of allowing is your emotions. Your emotions tell you everything you need to know about your state of allowing or your state of disallowing. So in other words, when you're feeling positive emotions, it means you're in vibrational harmony with your soul and you're allowing the good things that you are wanting to come to you. And then when you're feeling positive emotions such as joy or appreciation or a feeling of love or well-being, those exhilarating feelings, the good feelings, you're in a place of allowing source energy, allowing the connection with who you are, whether that's allowing wellness, allowing clarity, allowing abundance of all things desired. You're allowing that connection. That said, when you're feeling negative emotions such as anger or fear or frustration or rage or anxiety or depression, when you feel negative emotions, what that always means is, for some reason right now, you're not in a state of allowing source energy or allowing clarity or allowing all that is good. You are instead in the state of resisting. So you're in a vibrational state where you found some reason to focus in a way that disallows the connection and source energy. So I want you to use your emotion as your guidance system. And I've just shared the emotional scale here with you. So you can see on the left-hand side, we have the positive emotions, the inflow emotions, and then on the right-hand side, you can see some examples of resistant emotions and reversed emotions.